Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
We're back on This Week in America. Peter Jennings back with us on the program talking about his newest book, Until I Smile at You. Peter, it's interesting. You got involved in this. I mentioned in the beginning, selected by the family. You're talking the book about 2015. You've got this fundraiser, and you've got Tom, Ruth's son, that's there. This was sort of the beginning of the book at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was putting together a fundraiser for a health unit in the village where I lived at that point. And we decided that we would focus on the 100th anniversary of the birth of Frank Sinatra. And so I had a lot of musicians and singers. I am a singer myself. And we all donated our time for an evening to get people to pay to come. And then all the money went to the health unit. And as I was putting this together, a friend of mine knew about it and said, "Oh, you should get Tom Sandler on there." I said, "Well, who's Tom Sandler?" "Well, he's Ruth Lowe's son." Well, you could have hit me with a 2-foot pole. I didn't even realize that she had kids. And so I got in touch with Tommy. He and I, he's called Tommy, by the way, because his mom named him after Tommy Dorsey,
yes,
which is pretty cool. I mean, guys like Rick and Peter, who we have named after, right? But he's named after Dorsey. And anyway, Tommy and I got together. We hit it off. We became friends. And I asked him to come and be part of this presentation that we were doing, because he talks about his mom, he reveres his mom, he's got a great slideshow. And then I asked him about a week before, and he's a singer himself, kind of sings folk songs and stuff. I said, "Tommy, would you sing your mom's song in the show?" He went, "Yeah, I've never done that." And I was surprised, but he, anyway, I got a piano player to play music to back him up. He stood up, he sang the song, and he got a standing ovation. People were in tears. It was very emotional. Well, later on that evening, as we were all getting together for a drink to celebrate our success, Tommy came up to me and said, "You know what? You're writing the book." I said, "Pardon me, I'm writing what book?" He said, "You're writing the book about my mom. I've always wanted to get a book written about mom. I've never been able to find the right place, or the right person, rather." But he said, "You're a fine writer, you're a singer, you know her music, you know the music of that era, so you're writing the book, okay?" I mean, I said, "No." And indeed, Rick, it was an honor, it really was, to be able to write about Ruth Lowe.
Well, the book is so well done. It has that Peter Jennings stamp on it. Some critics have said it's like being at a dinner party with Peter and all of these guests talking about Ruth, and that's exactly it. It's Until I Smile at You. Peter Jennings is the author. Peter's website, peterjennings.me. The website for the book, Until I Smile at You. Book available wherever books are sold. Time going by so quickly, and I want to talk about her life in the closing years of her career. I mean, she was on This Is Your Life on television with Ralph Edwards. I didn't realize that. We're going through the book. She's there, and she was what referred to as sort of the Toots Shore of Toronto with a nightclub. And I love what she did with the nightclub as too. She had a lot going on, didn't she?
She did indeed. Yeah, she eventually, I think she got tired of the whole celebrity thing going on in New York. I mean, she was, after all, a fairly small town girl, if you will. And so after 3 or 4 years in New York, she returned to Toronto. She was introduced to Nat Sandler, who was a money guy. And they got married and had 2 kids, Tommy and his older brother, Stephen. And but she kept writing songs because she enjoyed doing that. But she also got involved in doing a lot of work around town to raise money for various causes and one thing and another. She had a very, very full life. She sadly died too early. I think she was 66 when she died in 1981. And that's too early for anyone to go. But she did have a very full life during the time she had on this earth.
I'm fascinated with that era, and I'm reading at the Club 1-2 that she had. She paired, as I understand, Steve and Edie for the first time, and they would always perform her songs in their nightclub act.
Yeah, her husband Nat, one day with a couple of cronies, they ended up buying a nightclub, the only nightclub in Toronto at the time. And they called it the Club 1-2. And they reopened this thing. And of course, Ruth had all sorts of contacts in New York. So she brought up all sorts of acts to appear at the Club 1-2. And yes, she introduced Steve and Evie. They came up and performed there together for the first time. And numerous other people. So yeah, she certainly kept her hand in with showbiz without kind of working out the drill building anymore. But as Tom will tell you, she would all of a sudden say to Tommy, "Hey, Tommy, we're going to New York. Forget about school. You can go to school anytime. We're going down to New York for a couple of days. We're going to see Duke Ellington." And they would go backstage and Duke would be, "Ruth, how are you? Duke, how are you?" And they'd go to Dempsey's and eat cheesecake, and Tom would buy a new guitar or have a new guitar bought for him. So it was quite the life. But yes, the Club 1-2 was really something.
Great stories in the book. It's a trip down memory lane with all of the names. Wayne and Schuster, Canadian comedians. I used to look forward to them on the Ed Sullivan Show. She was instrumental in getting them out there and promoting them, and a funny story with them as well. The book is so well done, and I wish we had more time. So go buy the book and you'll get all the stories for yourself, and you can read them at home. Until I Smile at You, How One Girl's Heartbreak Electrified Frank Sinatra's Fame, by Peter Jennings, contributions by Tom Sandler. The book's available at untilismileatyou.com. PeterJennings.me is Peter's website. Peter, I got about 30 seconds left here at the end. You're working on another book, and that's good for us as readers and as me as a host, because we can talk about the next one. What are you working on now?
Well, early in the new year, my next book, Pushing the Boundaries, will be coming out. I've interviewed 32 people from around the world who kind of think outside the box. But the one I'm working on right now, Rick, that you're referring to, is called Icons, Growing Up in the Shadow of Greatness. And I'm interviewing sons and daughters of famous people. I spent a fascinating afternoon yesterday on the phone with Rod Roddenberry in Hawaii. Rod is the son of Gene Roddenberry. You remember that name from Star Trek fame. So I'm interviewing people like that. It's going to be a fun book, I think.
Well, we've got a couple of shows lined up with Peter then. So you keep us posted when the books come out. We'll come back and do this again. This book, Until I Smiled at You, How One Girl's Heartbreak Electrified Frank Sinatra's Fame, a fascinating story of Ruth Lowe. The book's available wherever books are sold. I'll send you to the website, untilismileatyou.com, peterjennings.me, another website, and all that information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Peter, it is always a pleasure. Stay well. We'll talk soon. Thank you for being back with us on the program.
Rick, it is my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And yes, happy holidays, and look forward to chatting with you next year.
Same to you. Always a pleasure. Peter Jennings, our guest on the program. The book, Until I Smiled at You. Information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Back after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, Associate Producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, Segment Producer. Ben Watson, Webmaster. Otto Bechet, Director of Engineering and TV Production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, Executive Producer of This Week in America.